Okay, I wanted to do a video today concerning the United States Constitution and maybe the Bill of Rights, but in general, just kind of where we are as indentured bonded debt slaves, as U.S. citizens. Through fraud and deception, we've been through adhesion contracts. We've been conned into being security for the debt of the United States. But the whole thing is just a fraud anyway, and the United States is nothing more than a slave management company. And I'll get into that. And I'm not going into specifics, just being very general. But, I mean, let's face it, we talk about the Revolutionary War, and the British troops didn't leave here until 1789, I think. They didn't go back to England until 1789. And then they wrote the Treaty of Peace in France. And anybody who hasn't read that needs to go read it. And they'll tell you how the Vatican is involved, and that the King of England is in charge of all the Vatican's finances. And the whole thing was just a way to put America, the New World Order, under the thumb of the Old World Order, and just give it a new face. This is my interpretation of it. And it all starts with the banking. I don't know, apparently the colonies have their own script and their own way of money, and it seemed to be working pretty good for them. That pissed off the European bankers, who weren't, making any interest from the slaves over here. So, as they do in every other country, they foment wars. And people can't believe they did that here. It's like, no, we were good, and 3% we got our pitchforks and we rose up and we fought against the biggest fucking army in the whole world with the biggest navy and all the money in the world, and a bunch of farmers beat them. But wait a second, they didn't leave until 1789. And one of the maxims of war is, whoever leaves the battlefield last wins. Well, they did win if you read the Treaty of Peace, because all the debts, which was the whole war was about, was enslaving the American people, were deemed still good at the end of it. And so even George Washington, who was a military dictator, the first thing he did was when they needed money to pay the bankers. And so there was what's something called the Whiskey Rebellion. And you should study that too. He sent the militia out to go collect taxes as soon as you were free. But anyway, and then in 1812, before that, they set up the United States Bank, and the majority Class A shares were held by European bankers and, the elites over there. And, if you look at it this way, the King of England, King George, was the one who paid for the, to send all his ships over here and colonize America. So it's his venture, he paid for it. And so based on that, he's due a certain amount of, for his investment, he's due to get something out of it. And that's what the Treaty of Peace kind of wrote in there, is that, yeah, he's going to get a certain amount of the gold and all the stuff. Now, let's fast forward to 1812, when they defaulted. Every time there's a war in this country, a civil war, which is really the only, but on land that we call America, they defaulted on the debt. And the same thing happened in the War of 1812. They defaulted on the debt. British troops came in from Canada, and I'm being very general here, and they burned the fucking White House down, and they took control of all the titles and the security papers, and they brought in their Temple Bar Association to run the bankruptcy. They were bankrupt, and you got to pay, man, and you got to be licensed and taxed, and it's been going on that way since the inception of this country. I know people don't want to hear this shit, and they think I'm a crazy loon, but okay, so that happened. And now we have the Bar Association, the Temple Bar, the city of London, excuse me, in their black robes and running the court system. Now, the court systems are banks, and statutes and codes are bonds, which is their promises to pay. And they collect their statutes and bonds by sending out their sheriff with their Star of David on them. And you can get deep into how esoteric that is. And their deputies. And all these people do that we call our representatives is make more laws, which aren't really laws, they're statutes and codes, corporate statutes and codes, which are bonds. And when you go in and they arrest you, because now you're a corporate fiction through your adhesion contracts. They arrest the person, which a person in the legal definition is a corporation, but you're acting as the fiduciary for the corporation. You're giving it life, so they arrest it and they put you in the prison. When you sign the bond, those bonds are sold on the international stock market, thereby bringing down the debt. Being very general again. Civil War. South Carolina, they came to South Carolina and said, hey, you know, you guys have all the money down here. The bankers are knocking on our door saying we owe them all this money. And they said, fuck you, we're going to start our own country, get out of here. And then they did another false flag on them. I can't think of the name of it, but they ran a false flag and got everybody against them. And when the bankers had to come in the Civil War, and some people will say it was about slavery, but slavery was really already on the way out with the invention of the harvester combine. That's the machine that does all the work, like they have tractors doing it now. Slaves were too expensive to operate, to house, feed, and clothe, and you made like a 4% profit on your slaves. But with the harvester combine, you could make like a 25-30% profit on all your crops, your tobacco or whatever you were growing. So they needed to find a way to free the slaves, and they did that with the 14th Amendment. And once the slaves were free, they had what's called the slave codes, and if you were a vagrant and you didn't have a job, or any money, or a place to live, the cops picked you up anyway and put you in prison. And then they leased you back to the plantation, the convict lease program. But anyway, because the United States Corporation didn't have enough people to go against the South, through the Vatican, have you ever seen this movie called The Gangs of New York? I think you should go watch it because it explains it brilliantly. In that movie, I think, and then you should see the most recent Robin Hood movie with Russell Crowe. Those two movies are pretty accurate in my estimation. But they brought in the Vatican brought in all of these Irish people, right, that were starving during the potato famine or whatever, and they shipped them all over here and told them they're going to give them land. All they had to do was serve like 2 years in the military. So as soon as they got off the boat in New York Harbor, they gave them a uniform, gave them some food, a couple of bucks, and sent them down to fight the Rebs down there. And they beat them. They beat them into submission. After that, after the Civil War was over, of course they killed, supposedly, Abraham Lincoln, president, who initiated martial law, martial rule, under General Orders 100 in the Lieber Code. Look that up on the internet, and you'll see that's the exact same government we have today. So this whole country is run by international European bankers. We don't have any representatives or anything. This is a slave plantation, and they're coming. We're in such debt right now that we don't have any way to pay it. So here's what Homeland Security is for. Homeland Security is here to put everybody into camps or into prison, because this is how it works. Is every U.S. citizen is allotted a certain amount of the debt, and when you kill that person, right? The corporation, the corporate fiction. When you delete it, it eliminates that portion of the debt. So that's what you have to look forward to. That's why things are getting so much more restrictive now. And they brought in the Obamacare thing, which isn't really about health care. It's just a way to get you into prison. And I know people don't want to hear that because it's the truth. And if you step back and look at the whole thing, how this country, this corporation operates, they don't give a shit about the people. You know, the elites, they don't care. They're over there in Europe or they're in China, and they'll just move anywhere. They don't give a shit about the people. We're just slaves to be, cattle to be milked and harvested and then slaughtered. And that's how it works. And they don't have any patriotic fervor for the United States of America. It's a joke to them. There is no country. It's a corporation. But through our public school system, they've led us to believe that this is a great country. And I believe it. Hey, America is fantastic. I love living here. The people are great. Human beings are inherently good. But we're dealing with a class of people that would just as soon kill everybody here. And they already have all the coffins, coffin liners. Anybody who knows anything has seen that. I haven't seen any of the camps, but you know, recently you have Army colonels coming out in town hall meetings and saying, "Hey, look, they're building a domestic army here." I mean, they got more equipment here than we had in Fallujah. You know, they're better equipped. So, if the U.S. defaults on its debt, just know that the Vatican and the City of London want their money, and they don't care how they'll get it. And I think things are being set up right now, because you have to learn from past experiences. The War of 1812, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War. It's all about debt, all of it. They enslaved us with the 14th Amendment, and we're bonded debt slaves. If you don't know how that works, when you register, you submit an application for registration, and if you look up all those words in a law dictionary, submit means to beg, apply means, well, if you're begging, you know what you're applying for, and then you register. When you registrate, you hand over ownership. So you're like, please take my baby, please, on your knees, please take my kid and do whatever you want with it. They go, okay, yeah, we'll do that. We got a program for that. Go ahead, sign your birth certificate. We're going to go ahead and issue your slave number, which is your Social Security number, immediately now. I remember I didn't get mine until I was like 12 or 13. I had to go down and get it. Now they just issue it immediately because it's money in the corporation's pocket. They can hypothecate that through the moon and sell the bond on the international market. And it's all about money to them. They don't give a shit about you and me. So my thing is, hey, let's try and educate ourselves on what's going on here. Because if we don't, I mean, we're dead anyway, but I mean, we give ourselves a fighting chance. What else? You can go to my blog, stopthepirates.blogspot.com. I don't know why this thing seems to be running slow, but... And I've got about 10 years of information that's going to help everybody who needs to educate themselves on what to do. Accepted for value, electronic funds transfer, how to stop foreclosure, produce a note technology, how to stave off foreclosure for one, unlawful detainer, how to file a commercial lien against anybody. It's so easy, it's scary. How to go after these criminals, judges and whatever. Do what you got to do, because they're going to give you no quarter at the end. They're here to take us down to Chinatown, man. Anyway, so hopefully that kind of explains it. We are living on a slave plantation, and it's even worse than before the Civil War, because now you're a bonded debt slave, so you have a huge amount of debt piled on you. If you don't think that's what Obamacare is all about, hey man, why would they also have the collection agency for the International Monetary Fund, the IRS, collect a debt for it? And they've set up a thing where you can't even buy the health care, and they say sign up, like it's some kind of free deal. Hey, I'm going to go sign up and I'm going to get my free Obamacare. No, 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 no. You're going to buy it. Okay? And then one thing, here's how they're going to get you with that, and I'll just be very brief with this. If you buy it, it's really expensive. And it's another adhesion contract, because you swear under penalty of perjury the United States citizen. So if you buy it and then you miss a payment, you're dinged. The IRS is going to be on your ass. And now they have access to your bank account, everything. All your if you have a job and you're out there W-2ing it and earning a paycheck, they're going to take it all. That's what it's all about. It's all about the slaves. And they don't care. They're going to take everything they have. Everything. They're going to take it all. They're not going to leave you with nothing. I told a guy, I was on this tram, and it's like some dude in a jackbooted uniform with a drug-sniffing dog. And I'm just like, oh, God, here we, And anyway, I got into confrontation with him. I go, dude, they're going to take everything you got. And they're like, yeah, we're with Homeland Security. And, and they're just caught in that mindset like there's terrorists everywhere. And I'm thinking, man, you work for the terrorists and taking you down. He's like, yeah, but, we need to do this to protect our freedoms in this country, and this is the freest country in the world, and you're living in a pipe dream, brother. Maybe it was sort of free, but you can't even own property here. You can't do anything here. The only thing you can do is get a job and pay your taxes and drink beer. Why do you think there's a liquor store on every corner? And they ship in the drugs and cocaine to get you into prison. Like I heard someone say, man, if you're trying to get into a girl's pants, what's the first thing you do? You buy her a couple drinks. I mean, that's not how I do it, but I'm just saying. That's why there's a liquor store in every corner. Because they want to get into your pants and screw you over. But they don't want you consciously awake. That's why there's football games every Sunday and the World Series and the basketball championships and the football games and the hockey and the fuck, what else is there? Just endless, man. And you walk around, you see the general public, and they're all into it. Nowadays, I go on and on for hours. I'm going to cut this off. But it's funny how many husband and wife teams you see with matching jerseys of their favorite team. It's so fucking stupid. Anyway, go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. I didn't mean to offend anybody. It's just me. Go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. I'll get you all my info. It'll save your life. Thank you.